Good afternoon, everyone. As Scott said, my name is Beth Ferry, and I work as a field educator with Michigan State University Extension. Joining me here today will be Jerry May, who will also assist with this presentation, and Dr. Christina Villegas Vargas is also here today with us, and she's done a lot of work with us on this project. We are focusing on West Michigan in two-county area. Allegan and Ottawa County is our target area for our area regional control project. As you guys can see highlighted here on the map, we are focusing right within this area, and approximately 20% of the sows in Michigan are housed in this area. The best way to describe it is we have US 31 that runs north and south here. We have I-196 right here. We also have 131 here. And so we're kind of focusing on that general area in Michigan to try and persuade these producers to develop this regional control project. We have some uniqueness to this area. We have some regional barriers. To our west, we of course have Lake Michigan. South of us in this area, we have the Allegan State Forest. And then to the east, we have a large urban area, Grand Rapids. We also have a very, very good history of producer cooperation. We have a strong support from allied industries, specifically BI, that's come in to assist us with this program. And we also have support from our local veterinarians with our clinical programs. There are also a uniqueness to this specific program is that we have a small number of finishing pigs actually coming into the area. We actually only have 3 farms bringing in finishing pigs. One of those farms is bringing in positive pigs. Another farm is seroconverting, and then our third farm is actually staying negative. However, that farm is on the outlying areas. So little unique factors to our general area. The producers in this area have your typical PRRS problems. We are having sow herds with periodic flare-ups and issues. We, of course, see those performance losses during farrowing. And those PRRS-free pigs that are coming into the area, we do have that one farm that is seroconverting. There are times when they're remaining negative. There are times when we don't see any symptoms, and then, of course, there are those times when we do see those symptoms in those farrowing or finishing areas. The other underlying factor here is that most of the farms we're working with also worked in our pseudorabies control program. So they've already collaborated once before. They're used to working together, and that's really worked as a benefit for our group. When we talk a little bit about the number of sites in our area, we have 10 major sow facilities, ranging anywhere from 200 sows to 2,500 sows per site. We also have 3 smaller club pig producers, so we're also struggling with that exhibition hog issue that seems to be coming up. There are several gilt developers in the area, and we're working with approximately 50 nurseries and finishers. We have approximately 43 producers that we are making an effort to work with to persuade them to work with us in this regional area control. Our biggest asset at this point in time has been our producer cooperation. Dr. Jim Kober had introduced this concept to us in September 2008, and we had a large participation from producers at that first meeting. From the very start of the project, they have been willing to cooperate with us, interested in this. We have a commitment made from the largest farm, which represents about 50% of the sows and also finishing pigs in the area, to commit to this project and work to control the PRRS in the area. The remainder of those farms have also been contacted and also inclined that they have definitely support of this project. And for the most part, these farms were represented at that initial meeting and have continued to work with us as we move on. Our initial goals of the program were to document the instance of PRRS and also reflect on the outgoing outbreaks that we have. We also wanted to compare the different strains that we see in the area to figure out whether farms were spreading from farm to farm or whether this is an internal spread and a biosecurity issue. We wanted to facilitate that communication between producers and provide a forum for sharing information about what's going on. We also wanted to assist producers to help them stabilize their herds and move into that eradication forum. And then our final goal is to complete that eradication of PRRS from our breeding herds and growing pigs in this area. Jerry's going to go ahead and talk to you a little bit about the methods that we've utilized thus far. Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you, Beth. I'm Jerry May, a colleague of Beth, and work in the central part of the state. We're both educators working mostly with pork producers. Beth and I kind of got handed this project off. I need to go back in a little bit of the history of this. Originally, Dr. Kober approached Dr. Straw, who at that time was the extension veterinarian for MSU, and said, you know, there's these CAP funds available. I think we can work in this region. It would be a good region to work within. And so Barb took the leadership, and she wrote the grant that helped get this project started, and for the past 18 months really provided the leadership. Well, because Beth and I are pretty good people to work with and kind of knew the producers in there, she wrote us on as collaborating in the grant. Well, we had no idea that Beth was thinking about, or Barb was thinking about retiring. And earlier this spring, we got this note that said, I quit MSU, meaning she retired. And it gave Beth and I about 6 weeks or so to get up to speed and assume this, because the grant funds were coming through MSU and we were on the funds. So that's how we kind of grew into this. But it has been a great learning opportunity for us. And when we first started in this, one of the producers said, well, Jerry and Beth, what do you think your role is in this? Because we admitted we don't have the technical expertise to lead this. We're depending on the practitioners for that. And so I said, fortunately, I think we can provide the coordination, collaboration, and cooperation for this project. One of the points that Scott made. And so I think that's the role that Beth and I will play as we go forward and try to keep the ball rolling. Step one, we very similar to what JP pointed out. We're following those steps. We've identified the sites within the area. Started out just using addresses through MSU, Pork Producers Organization, MDA, and started to develop some maps. I would walk into Barb's office last summer, and she used MapQuest to start out, and she had literally maps across her wall, pinned up there, kind of pieced in together, and then as a new farm was identified, she was going up and placing a pin in to identify that as a farm and getting the address. And then she provided those maps to Enrique from BI, and he put them on a very detailed map for us, which has been very helpful. So we're moving along with identifying the producers, and then Christina last summer spent a great amount of time doing some identification of the status for all of those farms. I have no idea of the total number of tests and collections that she made, but we've got a good handle on the farms that are in the area and their status as it currently is. Started out using the rope tests and the PCR evaluation from sow farms, talking to Christina coming out. I guess that was the best place, but it might have been better if we'd have started out using the ELISA test so that we knew the status, because a number of those farms were coming back PCR negative, but we were assumed if we went back in and did the ELISA test, we'd know that was a negative farm, or a positive farm. This is how we classified them as Christina was doing the testing. They were either free or infected, and then we tried to identify the strain back to the sow herd. There again, the growing facilities using the PCR, and that was the rope test. I think you'd walk in, hang ropes on gates, and they'd come up and you collect the saliva after they chewed on them. There are no freestanding bore studs in the area, so we didn't have to worry about that necessarily. We've moved forward, having gathered all of this information, and starting to look for that cooperation and collaboration. And so we've got a steering committee that's going to meet the first part of July and let them start to take hold of this project and give us guidance on what the next steps need to be and how remaining funds need to be expended to keep this moving forward. There is the intention of having the pad wrap analysis done on all of the sow farms and some of the finishing sites this summer. And that talks about our steering committee. Sorry, I jumped ahead a little bit. Projects and concerns. As the funding dries up and producers have to say, okay, now I have to start to pay for some of this testing, how is that going to work? And then we do have the pigs for exhibition concern. Not just the 3 or 4 sites that have actually produced those pigs within the area, but there's multiple families that have just the project pigs and buying those outside of the area and bringing them in, so there's that concern also.